Every time I switch over, it mangles the music. Hello, and welcome to this edition that actually has sound, because I've already shot this once, of Wake and Bake News. Mysteriously, this program decided to mute the audio, and I had to go into the settings and redo the settings. Interesting, huh? Okay. I haven't played with the settings lately. They just do that by themselves, huh? That's cool. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of news that came up this morning that's really exciting. And I've already drunk my coffee, so I won't be using the Wake and Bake mug this morning. I'm going to use my homemade bong that I actually got the idea from Sound Drone. Because if you get yourself this thing called the tile drill, there it is. This is a fancy $18 one, but you can get cheapy ones like for a Dremel. They don't have the fancy chuck and everything. But as you can see, it's extremely, gritty on the end. And this is a 1/2 inch. So this made the perfect hole for the down tube to go in. You could get the metal down tube and then have your pull-out stem. And I got that idea from Sound Drone. He has 2 channels, Sound Drone, Sound Experiment, but we'll talk more about that in a second. I want to get to this because it's already 10:31 and I have guitar practice to get to. We tried go to practice guitar at my brother's house. It's not like there's someone teaching us. We're teaching each other. Okay. Monitor capture. Music off. There's a lot of interesting stories. We're going to go, of course, back to this story about the raid in Santa Ana because it's just really blowing up bigger and bigger. There's more information coming out this weekend. There are several lawsuits that are now involved. This will probably blow up in the news around the time of the 2016 election when we will decide on marijuana legalization here in California. So it's kind of like a godsend in a way. And it's so damning that it's awesome. We'll go down here to the beginning. I posted a lot of stories yesterday. Let the video, got excited. Had a good time yesterday. Very happy. Now, further down, lots of video. Okay, I'm not going to wait for all of you to load. You take time, children. Okay, op-ed. Make sure to get to the beginning of this. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Australian couple donates $33.7 million for medical marijuana research. Let's take a visit. A couple in Australia donated $33.7 million for medical marijuana research. Our vision is to make Australia a world leader. I jumped around. In researching how to realize the powerful medicinal potential of the cannabis plant. The main ingredient in marijuana known as cannabinoids. The Lamberts are grandparents of a toddler, Caitlin Lambert, who suffers up to 1,400 seizures a day due to a rare form of epilepsy, Dravet syndrome. Her father, Michael, has been a vocal supporter of legalizing medical marijuana in Australia. Witnessing the difficult reality for Caitlin's life has also affected her grandparents, who decided they could no longer sit back and wait for change. The experience of our granddaughter, who suffers debilitating epilepsy, has opened our eyes to the extraordinary possibility of cannabinoids, treating not only the condition, but a range of chronic illnesses that often don't respond to conventional treatments, Barry said. We believe the investment in the future of Australian science and medicine will provide the much-needed evidence to rapidly advance the use of medicinal cannabinoids in the treatment of childhood epilepsy and other serious illnesses. So that was really neat. That's a lot of money, too. 33.7 million is pretty awesome. And I know Australia is looking at legalization and the idea of recreational medical right now. They're, of course, starting with medical, and they're going to be concerned, well, CBD, you know, it won't get you high. Don't worry. You could still get drunk on the weekend. You'll be okay. Okay, California has a record-breaking 13 bills in legislature dealing with marijuana hemp. Okay, hemp news, right? A record-breaking 13 bills are in the California legislation this year dealing with marijuana, and most of them deal specifically with medicinal cannabis. Some of the bills would be quite damaging, including legislation that would criminalize some types of cultivation and concentrates. Hemp news. The bill with the most far-reaching consequences is AB 266, according to the activist Lenny Swaddle, of the blogtalkradio.com show Marijuana, Compassion, and Common Sense. According to Swaddle, this bill is an attempt to put some states' controls on California's patchwork of legal regulations. The bill would create a new governor's office of MMJ regulations to oversee and coordinate 3 new MMJ regulation divisions. Public Health, the Department of Food and Agriculture for Cultivation is number 1. Number 2, Public Health and Product Safety and Labeling. And number 3, the Board of Equalization and Licensing. The major action, according to Swaddle, would be by the Board of Equalization acting in coordination with other state agencies to write and enforce regulations for commercial and medical marijuana distribution, and to issue personal licenses for medical cannabis organizations, provisional licenses, contingent on local licensing approval. Local licensing approval in places such as Santa Ana, where they have a crooked lottery for dispensaries, and then they raid the dispensaries that lose the lottery. So AB 266 is the one that is actually moving through Sacramento right now, and has still got that provision in the bill that the localities can control the dispensaries. And obviously some of these localities are like Bell, and they are crooked, and they're taking advantage of the situation in order to prey upon California citizens. This is actually someone complaining about this, but it brought to the attention of stoners on Reddit that the Catholic Campaign of Human Development provided $50,000 grant to the California Center for Cooperative Development, CCCD, through the Archdiocese of Los Angeles in California. Summary of problems. CCD promotes the legalization of marijuana and is facilitating the production of marijuana. CCD's executive director, funded a campaign for same-sex marriage. Page 2 of the CCHD's grants list for 2014-2015 identifies California Center for Cooperative Development as having received $50,000 grant. The problem identified with the organization lie both in the ideology and the executive leadership of the organization and the actions of the organization itself. The CCCD posted an article on Facebook about how growing medical marijuana and starting, if someone knows a medical marijuana collective or cooperative that and stated if you know a collective or cooperative that distributes the cooperative's profits to their members, we want to meet with you. That is what actively seeking cooperatives that grow medical marijuana isn't a surprise. In 2010, the CCD's annual report states that it was actually helping people set up cooperatives to grow marijuana. In addition to helping increase the problems of recreational drug use in the country by assisting in the growing of medical marijuana, the executive leader of CCCD actually helped fund the same-sex marriage agenda in California in direct opposition to the Catholic bishops, most particularly the Archbishop of Los Angeles, under whom auspices CCCD received its $50,000 grant. So in other words, this article is complaining that the Catholic Church through the Archdiocese of Los Angeles has given $50,000 to a company that helps promote medical marijuana and gay marriage, and their nose is all bent out of shape. I was just kind of curious and interesting that that happened. Moving on to this is a nice one. I got that vase for 90 cents, and it's not painted, like actually blue glass. You gotta make sure you look weird in the thrift store going like this with all the vases. Like, honey, make sure no one's looking. Oh, this is a good one. This is what I grew up dreaming to do. A marijuana grower gets ready for legal weed. This is a fantastic cartoon that was done by Fusion. I'm going to read it to you. California's marijuana industry is on the brink of a massive change. After 2 decades of medical marijuana, complete legalization of cannabis for recreational use is almost certainly going to happen in 2016's ballot in the state. Yes. Dan, in his late 20s, is in the thick of it. This is what I grew up dreaming to do. Along with 2 partners, he operates a collective in California's Sacramento Valley, making marijuana extract for the state's booming medical marijuana market. But as growing and processing marijuana is still a federal felony, Dan's name and appearance have been changed into a cartoon. Extracts are an often potent form of concentrate and refined marijuana that usually consumed by vaping. Extracts come in many forms, including oil, wax, and e-cigarettes. I was so surprised to see a drawing so similar to the one I did years ago and posted recently. So similar to one of my drawings, but very cool anyway. When my girlfriend first started dating me, she thought, oh, you just sell weed. That's a great, easy job. But then she sees me working until 2 in the morning. You can't really have one talent. You have to be able to package, label, market. It's not one industry anymore. When we go to 3 big conventions a year, we go to 3 big conventions a year, and the High Times Cannabis Cup. We give out t-shirts and stickers. It's like any other sales expo, just with more weed. The market is huge. California's medical marijuana industry accounts for 49% of all legal cannabis sales in America. And Californians grow a lot of weed. Indoor marijuana cultivation accounts for almost 10% of household electricity use in the state. Love this drawing of that bong. I love that drawing of that bong. That is really nice. That should be a t-shirt. That's so nice. In 1996, California became the first state in the union to allow marijuana for medical use. Pot can be prescribed to treat almost any ailment, and estimated 1.4 million people in the Golden State take part in the program. Once registered, patients are able to buy from delivery services and dispensaries, of which there are over 2,000. California was almost the first state to entirely legalize pot. A diverse 2010 ballot measure split the marijuana advocacy community. The bill failed by 54 to 46%. If you look at the exit polling, the green triangle voted very similar to the town in which I live, which is very conservative and would never allow growers, because both sides did not want legalized marijuana. Not the growers and not the prohibitionists. In the 5 years since, 4 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized marijuana for recreational use. And the fight for full legality in California is gearing up again. Excuse me. Mason Turvert, a spokesman for the Marijuana Policy Project, we're part of an effort to draft an initiative for the 2016 ballot in California that will seek to regulate and tax marijuana similarly to alcohol. California, bling! California is the largest state in the country. It's geographically diverse, culturally diverse, and ideologically diverse. I want Google Earth to do that. That's neat. I like that drawing. I'm confident that we'll be seeing a very visible and well-written law backed by a very broad coalition. Passing a law that works in California suggests that you can pass similar laws anywhere in the country or the world. But the infighting that brought down the 2010 bill still haunts the 2016 effort. 4 competing initiatives are currently making their way through the difficult process of getting on California's ballot, which is less difficult this year because we had a less of a turnout for the last vote, and that set the bar lower for how many signatures Californians needed to get the initiative on the ballot. To avoid splitting the vote, the activist community will need to coalesce around one vision of what legalization means. That hasn't happened yet. But this time around, there are examples of successful efforts to look to right next door. In 2012 and 2014, marijuana legalization swept across the western states. The cannabis market in Washington and Colorado, the first state to legalize in 2012, is now over $1 billion. But in 2016, is still a year off, and California, the cradle of cannabis in America, still doesn't have fully legal weed. See, this is like a scene out of Santa Ana right there. That's those police kicking in the nub. That's causing problems for the industry. Dan is feeling this in his own business. You can't just give someone partial legalization. You can legally have concentrates and as a medical patient. So you can legally have concentrates as a medical patient, but if you get caught making them, it's the same charge as writing a meth lab. It's ridiculous. You literally cannot follow the law. And banking institutions won't recognize marijuana. My business partners down in LA just had his Visa merchant account frozen with $18,000 in it. You're going to give someone all of this legality, but you don't allow them banks. You're forcing them into money laundering. Still, legalization next year seems like a virtual lock. Opinion polls in the states show the highest support for legalization on record, 53%. In anticipation of legalization, Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom formed a Blue Ribbon Commission to advise on legalization. They released an upbeat report in March. Legalization in California is the ultimate domino. It's going to set off a long chain of reactions, both in the U.S. and around the world. 18 months ago, we had 100 investors. We're close to 500 now. Steve D'Angelo is executive director of ArcView, the largest cannabis investment group in the nation. D'Angelo sees a massive opportunity in the Golden State. It's the largest legal cannabis market in the world. Once the barriers to interstate commerce come down, you're going to see California really start to dominate the industry. But California cannabis was changing even before big money started to get into it. Consumer tastes are shifting. My age group grew up with strong stuff. Back then, they were testing at 15% THC. Now, 5 years later, we have things testing out at 30% THC, 10 times as potent as the average THC of DEA seized marijuana in 1990. So who knows how trustworthy that testing is, because it's DEA. Even within the last 2 years, the difference within the qualities and the concentrates has gone up so much. Now, instead of making our product in an afternoon, it's literally a 5-day process. There's a science to it, and that's true. Like, they also are using like limonene to extract the oil instead of butane and stuff like that. They're also using like curling irons and t-shirt presses, which I'll try to talk about. A black market artificially inflates prices, and as the spread of legalization drives retail prices down, collectives are starting to specialize. 2 years ago, our focus was on growing OG Kushes and all these super boutique strains. Now we're growing all CBD. It acts as a natural painkiller, but some of those CBDs are hemp, not marijuana. The CBD plants are actually hemp, I think. It doesn't even have any psychoactive effects, so don't worry, you'll still be able to get drunk on the weekend.
Please leave a message after the tone.
There's a void in the market for that. We have control over our flower from when we grow it to when we when we're packing it in the tubes. They call that soil to oil in our industry. This sort of care, not unlike organic produce, can make a manufacturer stand out in a crowded market. It's a sign of increasingly discerning customers. California won't be the only state with pot on the ballot next year. Nevada, Maine, Arizona, and Massachusetts will also almost certainly have measures up for the vote. If efforts succeed in all these states, almost 1 in 4 Americans will live in an area with legal marijuana. Everyone's ramping up production. We're in the middle of a gold rush. I see myself in 5 years doing CBD under contract for a big company and doing research, independent growing, and marketing. I plan on furthering my business now and legalizing it. Now, I bet you there are others that are hoping to do startups that will be bought up by bigger companies. I'm kind of optimistic. I've been around so long. I've been growing weed since I was 12 or 13 years old. The paranoia and fear aren't as prominent now. It's so much more socially acceptable, but as comfortable as I feel statewide, there is still that voice of reason in the back of my mind. I don't want to be popular for this. A lot of guys out there, want to be on TV shows and get their name out. I respect that. We need people who are brave enough to be like that. But in the past 3 days, there's been 2 major busts. This limbo between state legality and federal criminality is constraining an industry that's bursting at the seams to expand. One way or another, there's going to be a reckoning on the way weed is dealt with on a national level. With the most populous state in the union voting on legalizing marijuana next year, that tipping point may be at hand. Andy Warner's comics have been published by the United Nations Human Rights Council, Slate Medium, American Public Media, Symbolia, and a bunch of other stuff. That is well done. I love your comics. I love the art. It's really super cool. I like how the backgrounds are there sometimes, but mostly like this, where it's just this, it's like concepts floating behind the characters is very cool. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. I'm like critiquing the art. That was really cool. Okay, this op-ed talks about how really there's this story about what's happening here in California, what's happening in Santa Ana, the crookedness that's happening in Santa Ana, and now this employer's rights being just trampled on because of basically lethargicness and lazy couch lock going on up there in Washington, where they think they can just make a law and they keep the DEA off their backs for a little while, and that's just kind of a half measure. Employers need to fix pot rules, says Normal founder op-ed. Many observers were shocked and saddened when Brandon Coates, a quadriplegic who is authorized to use medical marijuana under Colorado state law, was fired from his job with Dish Network in 2010. After a positive drug test, Dish failed to make an exception for Coates, who used marijuana while off-duty to control his seizures, and the company insisted on his being fired, leaving Coates no choice but to challenge this in court. Let's see. I think the ruling was, therefore, employees who engage in any activities such as medical marijuana use that is permitted by state law but unlawful under federal law are not permitted by the statute. Justice Allison H. Ide wrote in an opinion, because she's right. If it's that's the way the Colorado law is written, I guess. If it's illegal under federal law, then you can't do it. If it's illegal under state law, you can't do it. But if it's legal under state law, it's okay. So there has to be some new wording there added, to fix this. This case highlights one of the most pressing issues that needs to be addressed in the states that have legalized medical cannabis use, and the states that have adopted full legalization for all adults as well. Although employees are protected from arrest and prosecution under state law by these various laws, they remain vulnerable to employment discrimination in almost all states. Well, plus those employers, I mean, what Dish Network bought themselves was a whole bunch of bad press. That's what they did. Because I saw this story just leap. It's almost like, 700 reposts in different news organizations, and I know Google isn't being accurate with that, so there could be more, And really, it goes to the issue much like what Token Daily talks about in today's video he posted on the issue that, what if this was about religion, your ability to own a gun, whether or not you drink on the weekends, who you associate with, who you vote for, what, if you're a Tea Party member, a Democrat, are you now going to be, chosen for jobs. I mean, not that that doesn't go on, but this would kind of legitimize that behavior. At least it sets a precedent that is dangerous and needs to be dealt with. Simply put, if an employer wants to insist on what they frequently call a drug-free workplace, they are legally permitted to do that, regardless of the unfairness of the policy may cause, because we must not note that they do not apply those same standards to off-job alcohol consumption or the use of prescription drugs. And I'm going to go to prescription drugs too. There's more there. Very good op-ed in the Cannabis. I'll post all these links below, as you know. Okay, so yesterday, Jane Drove was going to do a live show. There was a little bit of an emergency, and she called in the services of Sound Drone. And Sound Drone turned on his live feed and was in Jane Drove's spot, because I guess somehow he could broadcast into her spot, and covered her live show for her. And I didn't know you could do that. So that turned from a bad experience to a really neat learning experience about, ooh, look, even if that person can't be there, if you know someone else, you can network. YouTube people can network and have somebody come in and cover for the live show. Or, it isn't just, you can all talk in little boxes. There's more to it. I thought that was really neat. And Sam Jones is a really cool guy. Like I said, let's wake up for this bomb. Because he's one of those guys that likes to craft debunks too. So I'll post a link to this. That turned out to be a great show. New Getting Good with I. Freddie Pritchard reposted his 420 goodie box he opened during the live show, which was really fun. I enjoyed the live show. It's always fun to be part of that. It's such a fun group of people to go hang out with, get stoned with, for 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday. Legalized medical marijuana doesn't increase teen usage, study finds. Derp, derp, derp. I'm sorry. Again, don't do that. Legalized medical marijuana doesn't increase teen usage, study finds. One of the biggest worries about legalized medical marijuana was that teenagers would smoke more pot. But it turns out those fears were wrong. A study just published in the Lancet Psychiatric showed no significant difference in adolescent marijuana use in the 21 states with medical marijuana laws. This exhaustive study, using over 24 years of data from over a million teenagers in 48 states, found no evidence that legalized medical marijuana led to teenage usage using more pot. Deborah Hasen, professor of epidemiology at Columbia University Medical Center in New York, reviewed data on teenagers between the ages of 13 and 18 and during the years of 1991 to 2014. Our findings provide the strongest evidence to date that marijuana use by teenagers does not increase after the state legalizes medical marijuana. Rather, up to now, in the states that passed medical marijuana laws, adolescent marijuana use was already higher than in other states, because early adolescent use of marijuana can lead to many other long-term harmful outcomes. Factors that actually play a role in adolescents' use should be a high priority, said Doc. Yeah, get your little pound of flesh in there. Kids shouldn't use it unless they have epilepsy. I mean, it's just it sounds stupid now. Here, this is good for you, unless you're in school and talking to someone in school. This study supports the 2013 report from the Colorado Department of Health and Environment that found that high school marijuana use decreased. Who is that right over there? I'm just seeing this out of the corner. If marijuana legalization sends the wrong message to teenagers, why aren't they listening? Oh, okay, that's a related article. Okay, so anyway, in California, where medical marijuana has been legal for many years in an unregulated environment, marijuana use in teens has remained less prevalent than the years before the marijuana was legally according to results from the 13th biennial something California Student Survey. Okay, so it basically says, and there were several articles talking about this study that says, no, that when you legalize marijuana, it does not increase teen usage. It does the opposite. And just because it was a state that had a high teen usage, it doesn't mean it's bad. It means that you're going to start, giving the next teens more positive choices. Wait till you're 18. Wait till you're in college. You need to do something now. Isn't high school hard enough? Why are you making it harder on you? If you don't need this for a specific reason, maybe you should think about why you're using it. Okay, this is an awesome hot tub gravity bomb. Look at that. It gave me the idea somebody should make the world's largest gravity bomb. like in a lake or something. Sonoma County marijuana growers urge to form United. They need to come out of the shadows. Look at these gentlemen. Wish there was more African Americans coming out of the shadows. Sonoma County marijuana growers come together Sunday near Sebastopol to talk about how their industry can come out of the shadows, flex a political muscle, and position itself for a day when its products become legalized for all adults. Speakers exhorted listeners to get involved in both lobbying and legislature and in electing local officials who are sympathetic to their industry. They pointed to the wine industry, the country's top legal crop, as a model to follow in developing a high-quality cachet and influencing both state and local politics. The message, said Craig Litwin, a former Sebastopol mayor, should be, we're here, we're participating, we have money, and we're not going away. It also says that Litwin, a founder of Citizens and for Responsible Access, a pro-marijuana political action committee, said the flip side to getting recognized as legitimate businesses is that growers won't be able to flout environmental regulations by planting pot directly along creeks and divert stream water needed for endangered fish. I'm sorry, but those days are gone. Good for you. So this is telling you about how the growers are coming together and figuring out how they can come out of the shadows and begin to fit into this, new world of legal California marijuana that is coming. That's very good news. Let's go up. South Dakota Indian Reservation legalizes marijuana. The Floundru Sante Sioux Indian Reservation has legalized the sale and use of marijuana on tribal land. Last Thursday, the Sioux Tribe Executive Committee became the first reservation in the state to legalize marijuana. Plans call for one facility where marijuana will be grown and another place to buy and use the drug for medicinal and recreational use for those over 21. Those under 21 could use medical marijuana with a doctor's recommendation. It's a controversial issue for the reservation and the community of Flandreau. Tribal President Anthony Ryder says the Flandreau Sioux Indian tribe is used to stepping forward and taking a stance on controversial issues. Throughout Indian country, Flandreau's been trailblazing, Ryder says. When we're with the casinos, we were the second compacted tribe in the United States, the first and largest casino in between Atlantic City and Las Vegas. So it's something that it's something that's new to us. We kind of like taking the forefront on issues. an issue that not everyone agrees on, including Becky Reed Vleda, who's lived on the reservation her whole life. We have no business going into marijuana. I don't care where the reason is. Said. See. We don't see any benefits in having marijuana in one certain entity without any tax structure or anything that's going to be beneficial to the city or the state of South Dakota, said former Flendu Mayor Mark Brunder. There are more than 300 federally recognized Indian reservations in the United States, and each one has the power to choose whether or not to legalize marijuana. Isn't that really cool? We like the controversial lead. We'll take it. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Alrighty. Continuing with the Santa Ana story. Oh, there's more. It's juicy. Juicy. A lawsuit was filed Monday by attorney Matthew Pappas on behalf of Sky High Holistic, accusing the Santa Ana Police Department, the City of Santa Ana, and the Santa Ana Mayor Miguel Pulido of taking bribes from marijuana dispensaries in exchange for favorable treatment, basically in a lottery. They help. This following a controversial police raid at the marijuana dispensary on May 26th that was caught on surveillance camera and shows police playing darts and an officer making demeaning remarks about an amputee and another officer eating what appears to be pot-laced edibles. It's deplorable that the city officials and people seeking financial gain would use the police to accomplish their self-serving goals, Pappas said. At a news conference in Long Beach, Pappas outlined the lawsuit he filed in federal court. The suit alleges that Pulido and other city employees favored certain dispensaries over others. Okay, so I'm going to leave this ABC because there's pieces of everything in different articles that we will go to. For instance, this is the mayor. This is the article about the part of the suit that goes after the mayor and his crooked dealings. They've compartmentalized the suit so you can't see it all. City of Santa Ana and Mayor Miguel Pulido named in federal suit to block marijuana lottery. Santa Ana lawsuit filed Monday against the City of Santa Ana and the mayor, Miguel Pulido, seeks a preliminary injunction prohibiting the city from enacting ballot measure BB, which enabled a lottery to select 20 entrepreneurs to operate marijuana dispensaries. The suit additionally accuses Pulido of receiving financial benefits from a Santa Ana medical marijuana dispensary and in intervening with police on the establishment's behalf. The Medical Marijuana Collective, affiliated with Pulido, in which he was a functionary or membership interest and form, which has received money, successfully obtained a city medical marijuana permit through a lottery process, the suit alleges. The allegations in the suit are unequivocally and categorically false. So this is what this mayor looks like. Zoom in on that. He looks like a little turd to me. Skip that. See his picture real good right there. But there's more! But there's more. It's the story that just keeps giving. You gotta go through all the stories, get a little tidbits. Okay. Now into this one. A lawsuit filed in federal court Monday alleges, this one's really because it really ties everything together. A lawsuit filed in federal court Monday alleges that Santa Ana police used excessive force and caused more than $100,000 in damage to a medical marijuana dispensary during a May 26th raid. Attorney Matthew Pappas filed the lawsuit on behalf of the target of the raid, Sky High Holistic. The operation was caught on surveillance camera, set up inside the shop. According to the suit, officers unreasonably detained two Sky High volunteers, one of whom is in a wheelchair. The complaint states that officers were intentionally destructive and destroyed a video surveillance equipment, safe, furniture, fixtures, doors, and other property at the collective, resulting in damages in excess of $100,000. The Santa Ana Police Department said it will conduct an internal investigation into the raid, which no one is really feeling real positive about. Voice of OC shared the following video of the raid, edited by the dispensary's attorney. Warning, the video includes language that may be offensive to some, like everyone that watches it. A charge of lottery tampering. The suit contains more explosive allegations regarding Santa Ana officials' conduct surrounding Measure BB, which set up a lottery to issue permits to medical marijuana dispensaries. Voters approved the measure in November 2014. The complaint alleges that an individual hired by the city to support Measure BB solicited $25,000 in campaign contributions from people affiliated with medical marijuana collectives in exchange for successful inclusion in the lottery and assistance finding collective locations. In other words, they paid to win the lottery. The suit claims that Mayor Miguel Pulido has a financial interest in a medical marijuana collective that secured one of the 20 permits available through the lottery, which was held in February. The complaint does not name the collective. The alleged wrongdoing deprived the plaintiffs of their due process rights under the state and federal Constitution, according to the suit. We have witness proof, and there is some paper evidence as well, to back up the corruption claims. Hoffa said at a Monday news conference he declined to reveal the names of the witnesses or produce the evidence. Hoffa added that he has informed the local U.S. Attorney's Office about the case. Absolutely and categorically false. In an interview with KPCC, Santa Ana Mayor Miguel Pulido denied all of the corruption allegations raised in the lawsuit, calling them absolutely and categorically false. He said he did not have any financial or familial ties to any of the applicants in the lottery. Pulido said the city hired an outside law firm, White, Nielsen, and Dial Evans LLP, to conduct the lottery process exclusively, and maintained that the firm had no contact with nor was influenced by any member of the city council. The lawsuit also notes that the city has contended that the election conduct in respect to Measure BB did not involve solicitation of money in exchange for favorable treatment during the lottery process. Oh no, there's no gambling here. After voters approved Measure BB, more than 630 applicants paid the city a total of more than $1 million to participate in the lottery. Cha-ching! Pulido characterized the suit as an attempt by Pappas to force the city into scrapping its marijuana laws so Sky High Holistic can stay open. I don't know where these people are going, other than I know they were operating an illegal dispensary and they want to continue to operate, he said. Another suit. Sky High Holistic was operating illegally when it was raided. Currently, there are no marijuana shops legally allowed to operate in the Santa Ana. An Orange County Superior Court judge placed a permitting process on hold earlier this month in response to a separate lawsuit claiming the lottery was unfair. The suit filed by a trio of entrepreneurs who were not selected in the lottery alleges that it was tainted by ballot stuffing, applicants filing multiple applications, and a number of unqualified applicants. Mayor Polito said that he believes the lottery process was transparent and fair. Of course he does. His pockets are well lined. I believe some applicants were maybe more aggressive than others, and he said, but that happens in the California lottery. There are some people that buy tickets and some that don't, and some buy more tickets than others, particularly if they're rich. Superior Court Judge David Sheffe will hold a hearing on Friday on whether to grant a preliminary injunction in the entrepreneur's suit, which ultimately seeks a court order declaring the lottery invalid. And it certainly sounds like it is. It sounds like the city figured out how to use California's regulatory system in order to victimize patients and dispensaries. Simple as that. Thank you so much, Sacramento. Thank you so much. So remember that when that AB 266 or whatever it is comes up that I was talking about earlier, that bill in California that they're trying to regulate the dispensaries. Remember, it was the police, okay, and the League of California Cities that wanted to keep in the provision that they could control what's going on. Now, in some cases, I understand they don't have the resources to deal with it. They don't feel that it should have ever been given their responsibility to deal with it. The state should have taken the responsibility. So they have to block dispensaries because they just feel they don't have the resources. These guys want to keep it so they can vampire off normal citizens because they see it as a way to line their own personal crooked pockets. And this is what government is supposed to be for, is to save us from stuff like this, and it doesn't. Oh, but there's more. If you look here up in YouTube's trending, if you put in marijuana, oh, but there's more. This is a story that just keeps on giving. Here in marijuana, you could see that the cops eat pot edible after riding marijuana dispensary is like number 2. And it was put up a day ago. It is now at 4,000 views, almost 4,000 views. Yesterday, when I first saw it, it was up 11 hours ago, it had 2,000. Like a rocket to the moon. And as you can see, there's a reaction. Because here below is Jesse Ventura, leader of the Libertarians and the Independents. And, they're God, but Jesse Ventura. And here he's going to talk about the high profits of marijuana with Dan Sky, right? Because now the libertarians and stuff are jumping on this and seeing this police raid is exactly what gets independents like me and libertarians pissed the fuck off. That what is this corruption bullshit? We're not for big government, but we're not for letting you allow places like this to victimize citizens with poor laws. So here you can see right here happening live on YouTube. This thing is shooting to the sky. So what I figure is these court cases are going to blossom like flowers around the time of think about it, of legalizing marijuana in California. So what's going to be in the news? This court case about Santa Ana, about local control, about how the state and federal government need to. I mean, it's like the stars are aligning. Beautiful thing. Thank you, stupid police officers that did stupid things. I got so excited. I was just listening to a bunch of Rammstein. I was just like, I mean, not Rammstein, but I got stuck on that because the other video I made, Prodigy. I was like, world on fire. Their law, it's like, it was like going through, news last night. Oh, I get into it. I wish it would just connect to me and I could just use my brain somehow to surf it without this physical interface. Then you'd see something. ideas, connect them. Okay. Operation Overmed highlights veterans, pharmaceuticals, and medical marijuana. Yesterday, one of my TWB teammates, Kaliko, I'm not sure if that's the name, but I'm going to go with that, brought to my attention a fantastic idea from a photographer named Mike Whittier. In addition to being a photographer, Mike is also a veteran. He started a new photo series on veterans, pharmaceuticals, and medical marijuana. Essentially, his project seeks to highlight the fact that veterans can over-medicate on pharmaceuticals all they want to, and the government is fine with that. But they can't use a plant that has been proven to be much safer and often more effective than pills. Too many veterans are often medicated and on pharmaceuticals, and they should be allowed and even encouraged to use alternative forms of medicine like medical marijuana. If you are in the Philadelphia area, Mike is looking for other veterans that want to participate. Below is what is posted on his Facebook page. Below are some of the pictures he already released, along with the description of the person featured in the photo, including one of himself. SPC Carazino was an Army MP from 2010 to 2013. She took approximately 5 different medications during the day, plus 4 different meds at nighttime. Now she says she can smoke 1 joint, and it takes care of her anxiety, depression, and PTSD versus taking a handful of pharmaceuticals to try to treat the same issues. She says, natural is best route to take. I'd rather live than be a zombie. This is Whittier, photographer. I was in the Marine Corps for 11 years and did 2 combat tours before being medically discharged. After coming back home, I was put on 40 different medications over the course of 5 years in 2012, and watching a documentary, I decided to try cannabis. I felt more relaxed after 1 joint than I had after tons of combinations of pharmaceuticals. I threw away my pills, and my quality of life is better than it has been in years. I think it is very important to note that cannabis is not a cure for PTSD, but in combination with therapy, it could open a whole new world for you. Barrett Thompson was a machine gunner in the United States Marine Corps from 2004 to 2008. Barrett did 3 tours in Iraq, and like many others, got out and was injected into the Department of Veterans Affairs medical system. Between 2008 and 2013, the VA prescribed Captain Thompson over 100 different medications before he started using cannabis. Barrett says, I want to highlight therapy. Continuous therapy and self-healing is the key, not just smoking cannabis. I thought that was very compelling, especially of pictures. Alrighty. How the 420 games debunk the myth of the lazy stoner with a video that I won't play. The 420 games established, where are we? Where'd that go? The 420 games established by Jim McAlpin, founder of the ski snowboard lifestyle brand snowbomb.com, is a series of events aiming to destigmatize responsible cannabis use. I totally got stuck on that word. Elite Bailey recently attempted one of these events in San Jose. Recently attended Wendy's events in San Jose, California, meeting with McAlpin and other activists to discuss the movement. Woo, I just got like super hot. It's because of the warming up outside. In McAlpin's words, we're coming off decades of negative propaganda stigmatizing cannabis use. We've all been lied to. It's a bad rap, and we need to change the dialogue. There are millions of people who use marijuana in effective, healthy, and productive ways. We plan to show this to the world via athletic achievement. The 420 events, including everything from organized runs, often 4.20 miles, to mountain bike races and golf tournaments, participants are responsible pot users who aim to prove they still live healthy and active lifestyles. All of this coincides with the movement for marijuana legalization, which is rapidly gaining momentum across the United States. At this point, 4 states in Washington, D.C. have legalized recreational marijuana, and 23 states and D.C. have medicinal marijuana programs. According to polling from Pew Research Center, a majority of Americans, particularly millennials, are now ready for pot to be legal across the country. But even as the U.S. becomes more accepting of marijuana use, certain myths about the drug persist. In particular, it's evident many still stereotype pot users as lazy stoners and burnout. In truth, almost anyone you see walking down the street could be a frequent or casual pot smoker. They don't all resemble Cheech and Chong, although why couldn't we? I don't understand why that's a problem. From long-haired hippies, donning Bob Marley t-shirts to suburban parents and former UFC fighters, those who partake in the use of cannabis come in all shapes and sizes. Pot hasn't ruined their lives, and they don't spend the entire day eating Doritos on their couch. Doritos. Yeah, I try to avoid Doritos. They're so good, but not good for you. There are a number of responsible, mature, and productive marijuana smokers across the country and the world. For that matter, not to mention many use it for legitimate medical purposes. With that said, as with any substance, excessive use of pot can have negative consequences, and moderation should be the golden rule. The 420 Games promotes and educates people on this mentality, while also working to detour minors from using cannabis. You see, there it is, right there. Look, you can smoke pot in the morning. You can smoke pot in the evening. You can smoke pot on the weekends. You can go on vacation and have a pot smoking exploration. And you'll survive, and you'll be fine, and you'll get back to work on time. Now that is worth the dime. Oh my God, so simple. Nationwide marijuana legalization would not transform America into a country of apathetic burnouts, and the 420 Games, among other movements, help prove that. I mean, think of all the Olympiads that were smoking marijuana before they won those medals. Oh, I'm so glad I got through that. I was a little frustrated because the first one, which was much longer, and I battled more. So, I mean, it's serendipitous. This is where I say, don't fight your angels. Okay, I'm not going to make it to work on time. There's a reason. I don't know what it is yet, So my first version, which was like almost 2 hours, was not as good as this one. So I'm glad it didn't work. I was going to talk about the Rosin Tech thing real quick with you. Let me go back down here. That'll be my end of the show thing. There was a video that came up with Urban Ramo where he talks to one of the guys that's usually at Hash Church, and he was showing how to do the Rosin Tech with just a simple straightening hair straightener. You know, just a hair straightener. Where I gotta go through. I post a lot of things. I follow a lot of stories. Just right now, I am completely focused on marijuana. It is a calling. It must be done. What is going on here? Load some things so I can see with my eyeballs. See with my eyeballs. Okay, Hotbox 3. That was nice. That was Weed Porn Daily. Smoking pot in the rain. So nice. Oh, that's my video. Not too far. I think I have. Oh yes, this is yesterday. Okay, so that's yesterday's news. Back. Robots. Funny video. Smoking pot in the rain. Oh yes, Trailer Park Boys. Invite you to party at the Kush Cup. That's so funny. Mark Clokey, who's the weed guy on YouTube, right? He contracted with the Trailer Park Boys to be in the Kush Cup, right? Because he's one of the organizers, and he was really happy. He had not heard that Snoop Dogg and these guys showed up on the set. So, like, under one of his videos when he was announcing, I'm like, dude, Snoop Dogg, there's pictures of him on the set with the Trailer Park Boys for the Netflix, new series, the Trailer Park Boys. And he's like, oh, no way. I'm like, dude, yeah, it is just, it's gone nuclear. It's so awesome. Oh, here we are. How to make rosin and live rosin. Sorry, he pronounces it rosin with John Barfello. Okay, and this is on Urban Remo's site. Now I'll put a link, and I won't play the video. But basically, he explains the process of taking buds and pressing it in a hair straightener. See, this is mine I bought at the thrift store for doing this, for making rosin, right? Rosin. And what you do is, like, you put the buds or the key for hash or bubble hash or whatever in, like, parchment paper, and you press it with a certain temperature, and he's going to show all how to do that, right? Real hard, press it, squeeze, and like with your foot and everything, and it actually will squeeze the oil right out of the buds. It'll just sizzle, right? Just come out, splatter out. It's so awesome. And then you just pick it up, with your little dabber, and there you got wax. Your own wax that you made. And you can make on the spot right now, no butane, nothing, none of that. So now they're talking about using maybe t-shirt presses and all kinds of stuff. So if you want to see this process really well explained and done right there on the spot for someone to see, look at this video, How to Make Rosin and Live Rosin with John Barfello on Urban Remo's channel. Yes, there's stories about how, this new oil stuff is explosive and they use butane and blah, 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 and now we're about to pwn them. We don't use butane anymore. We use the hair straightener, and they'll be like, what? Oh, we're about to pwn them. They can't keep up. It's like, it's interesting. Even their twist on the things that we're supposed to be afraid of can't keep up with innovation. Like, oh no, they use butane to do this, so it's what? It's changing. What? Pardon me. And now we're in 9 minutes. Not bad. So thank you for joining me for this episode number 20 of Wake and Bake News with your host, Shampoo BTA, Kelly Davis. And I'll see you tomorrow for tomorrow's episode, barring any computer disasters. And I hope all of your computers and your networks continue to work for you. So you stay high and goodbye.